Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of The Monsters Den. We are here once again on this Thursday evening. Tonight, it's all about favorite box sets and special editions. We've been kind of chit-chatting for a few minutes before we started recording. We have lots of stuff to talk about here tonight. And I'm going to turn over the hosting job to Mr. Craig Kaminsky tonight. He's going to host this episode. But let me introduce everybody first because I'd like to do that. Craig Kaminsky's in the house. Dan Brown is here. The King is here. Chris Allo, all the way from Scotland. He's up late, and he's missing something tonight.
His hair.
Yes. Davey Gallagher's here, and the host of the review crew, Mr. Jamie Laszlo, is in the house as well. What's up, gentlemen?
How you doing, fellas?
Dealing with the heat.
Yeah, I know. Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why this is gone.
Oh, yeah. It's been pretty brutal around here, but it's all right. It is summer. Got to get over it.
It is summer, but yeah,
it happens. So that's the way it goes.
Yep. So with all that being said, I asked everybody to pick out, 5 or so of our favorite box sets and special editions. We'll go 2 trips around. We'll start with 3, then we'll go to 2. And Craig, let me turn it over to you. You can take it from here.
Okay, thanks. I was going to introduce everybody, and you just did that. But I had Davey clearly.
That's like my favorite thing to do on all these panel shows.
Yeah, Davey has clearly taken his love of Alien 3 to a new level.
It's just the second best one.
I had a whole intro for everybody all worked out. I just wanted to say that. Dan Brown, one of the smartest people I've ever met, although I clearly I freely admit that I do not know very many people. Chris Allo, the King, running unopposed, the King of Sleaze running unopposed again for re-election. Pete, the ringleader of this Carnival of Souls. Jamie, he's a contrarian. He's the host of the review crew. He's got his own Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He does everything. So, I mean, it's, I had to get the little intro in. So tonight I'm guest hosting because, as previously mentioned in a different episode, I do not have much of a 4K collection as of yet. So when I don't, what you do is you defer to the experts, and these guys have lots and lots of good stuff to show to everybody. So we're going to go around a couple times. We asked everybody to break their stash into 2, and we're going to start with how it appears on my screen here. So, Dan, what have you got to show for us? What do you bring to the party?
Well, what do I bring here? One director that has not been represented, I feel, until recently in accordance with his work, and that's a gentleman by the name of Walter Hill. The film, one of the films I'm going to bring up that I went out and took the splurge with, or what you want to call it, is Southern Comfort. From 1981. This is a film that came out, it bombed at the box office. It's basically Deliverance, except the people in the bayou have teeth. They are great dancers, but not banjo players. Okay, and the only squeal like a pig moment actually deals with a pig, and no, they're just having a barbecue. So it has all the, it says, National Guardsmen are on a stand of maneuvers. They go into the swamps to this like one-day event, and they end up pissing off the locals, who happen to be led by none other than Brian James, who played Leon in Blade Runner, among many other films over the years. But this is the first time it's come out in 4K. It was on VHS horribly. It came out on a low budget line level on MGM, and they did an exemplary job with it. The other thing about this box set is that it has, as with many of these premiere box sets, it has a booklet. It has basic cut. There's a great interview with Walter Hill on it, and that's the reason why I've been getting into these box sets more so than anything, and upgrading my collection with films that I like, because these things are basically a treasure trove of stuff. This is not over the top, but once again, if you're going to have this film, which is a great little film, this is the way to get it in this fashion right here. That's number 1. Number 2, when I was going to the movies in the 70s, okay, when we weren't watching Amicus Films and whatever was going at night, or American Grindhouse Live on late night local theaters and stuff like this, we were watching westerns. And I was saying, when I was growing up, Clint Eastwood in the 70s, like, he was iconic. He still is he was iconic. So whenever Clint was in a western, you saw it. Whenever somebody, even watching films like The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing with Burt Reynolds, nothing like this. But one of my favorites we had, because we were also Bob Dylan fans at the time, and it's also a Sam Peckinpah film, so you know you're getting your money's worth. And it just came out on Criterion, and that is Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Takes a couple liberties with the story of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. If you're familiar with it, there is no character by the name of Alias in his real life, which is played by Bob Dylan. And as my grandfather used to say about the baseball player Lou Gehrig, when he made one Western in 1938, and I showed it to him, he loved all these old Westerns, played it for me, and he said to me, he goes, thank God he could play baseball. So the situation of this, thank God Dylan could play music. The great thing about this box set, Criterion has raised the bar. And the thing is, you get three cuts of the film, the original cut, the extended cut, and a lot of places are now putting on here like preview cuts, like the director's preview cut, which is basically from a work print and stuff. Tons of activity in this. Fun little Western. Chris Christopher's about 20 years too old to play Billy the Kid. James Coburn always looked like an old sheriff. But it's a fun, entertaining film, and it's got all of the nuances from any of Sam Peckinpah's films. Slow motion, death, music. It's a fun film to watch. And since it was a big favorite of ours growing up in watching westerns, it was a must-have for me with Criterion. On a side note, really quick about it, when we're worried about physical media not selling anymore, they had 8 copies of this up at the Barnes and Noble we're at. I went in, they had put it out 2 days ahead of time before they were supposed to. Went to the thing to buy it. Woman says, I'm sorry, it shouldn't be out yet. I said, I put my name on it, I'll come back up and get it. When I came back 2 days later, the only copies left were the one that was on for Hold Me, for myself, and one left on the shelf. So obviously 6 people bought things, which is kind of reassuring in a world where people aren't buying, you think you're buying physical media. And I think this is the way to go when they buy physical media. Third one I'll throw up here. I've already had the original one. I mentioned this, I think, to Davey at one point on Indicator, I believe it is. No, Imprint Films. Although the film The Uninvited, 1944 ghost film with Ray Milland, has already come out on Criterion, this label has put out a box set. Not too many extras, other than a couple of, some great a great documentary and some radio versions of it. But the big thing about this film is which is a Paramount film that came out the following year. It was really putting the emphasis on the actress by the name of Gail Russell, who was the ingenue of that time at Paramount. They were promoting her. But the interesting thing about The Unseen, it's not a great film, but it's actually the story, the turn of the screw, and or the Innocents with Deborah Carr, or The Others with Nicole Kidman, except there are no ghosts involved with this. This is done strictly as a noir gothic tale. So there's no ghosts. There's just a lot of backstabbing and such like that. The film is so rare, and that's why I bought this, because it's hard to find a good print, because Paramount films have never really been put out in any great way, shape, or form, except sometimes in Europe. So that's it. And I bought that expressly for that, and that's my 3 picks.
Does anyone know, is the Wild Bunch available on 4K or no?
No, not 4K.
Not yet.
Not even, there are a lot of Blu-rays, even like the Bring Me the Head of Belfort. C has been out, but they, and with even Peckinpah, they really haven't done it. It's only a matter of time, because they're realizing, but it's glad to see Walter Hill stuff is actually being shown, given some respect.
Yeah.
Pat Garrett's interesting, though, because that was never even on Blu-ray.
What's that? The
Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid.
No, never. No.
Never on Blu-ray. So that's one that's gone straight from DVD all the way up to 4K.
And wow. it came out as a 2 DVD set with whatever extras they put on there. But to get the director's cut or the director's print before it happened, I mean, this is nothing new. They started that when they put out Blade Runner, and they had what was called the Denver cut, which was a pre-screening version that they showed in Denver, like a Comic-Con. and it was only on VHS. And when they put this box set out years ago with 4 versions of Blade Runner, they cleaned it up and put it out there. And that seems to be a trend that's going. I mean, The Burbs has a work print on it. Something else I'll talk about later has a work print. So they're putting out a lot of stuff that you'd never get your hands on, or you have to find them at conventions. So if you're a film buff and you like all the different variations, these are the salad days with box sets. They may cost a little extra money, but guess what? You get a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, what did you find from the vault? Did you find something that you didn't know you had, or?
Yeah, I kind of pulled a Catino because, I grabbed a whole bunch, like literally like 20 titles, but I'm pulling a Catino because I haven't watched any of them yet. So most of them are just upgrades because I got rid of a bunch of Blu-rays lately. But I'll start with this one because this one was a blind buy. And this was a mistake. So don't buy this one, kids. I was at I went to the archive, the record store, and that's from the store run by the folks at Vinegar Syndrome. And I heard about this movie, Witch Story, which was from the same people who had made the excellent '80s movie called Superstition, which is awesome. It's terrible but amazing. And apparently they made a pseudo sequel called Witch Story. And this one's a Pete Pardo special because it's got not one but 2 fucking slipcovers. It's got the outside slipcover and then the inside slipcover, and then inside is a 4K disc and a Blu-ray. But
like a Russian doll.
Totally. Yeah, when I opened it up, I'm like, wow, seriously? But don't buy it, kids. It sucks. It's like it's like The Beyond meets The Boogeyman, but like not nearly as good or sleazy as either one of those films. So this was literally $30 down the drain. My buddy Sean often says, Vinegar Syndrome, the reason they put out all these really rare and obscure movies that nobody ever heard of them, there's a reason you've never heard of Witch Story.
Well, isn't tonight favorite box sets, and that is not a favorite, and it does not look like a box set.
It's not really a box set, but I didn't know we were doing favorites. I thought we were doing like new pickups because I've got oodles of discs that I picked up, but none of them are opened yet. But I don't know if this clarifies as a set. But I got this off eBay. This was the Halloween 3 4K special edition. This is the the regular version. The sexy part is it came with the exclusive action figure of Tom Atkins, and this was in some kind of Comic-Con exclusive, and then a couple did make it online, and it did come with a silver shamrock coaster autographed by Tom Atkins.
Oh, nice.
I don't know why they put it on a coaster, because why would you put this on your bar and put a beer under it? But I'm not quite sure. But anyway, this is my other one, I guess, that I got. The Fog 4K special edition. And the sexy part of this was that it came with the also super limited edition Adrian Barbeau figure. And I think this was a internet exclusive. And when I got it, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's cool. It comes with the cross. And I'm like, well, wait a second. Wasn't Hal Holbrook the one that was
she's
fucking
up
around
in
with the cross? She has,
radio station,
she had a piece of wood.
She had nothing to do with the cross. Like, she wasn't even in the same room with the goddamn cross. So, that was...
they should have that where you pull a string and she gives the throaty voice,
something, yeah.
Or top
heads. But those are my I guess those are my 3 picks. I haven't seen the other 2 yet, so I'm sure they look good, but
those are his favorite box sets.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of these special editions, in Chris's defense, even these special editions in 4K has a bunch of stuff on it. So it may not.
Well, they're
And they
giving
came with boxes with toys in them.
And he's got the action figures.
Yeah,
I thought these were like new buys. So I guess I misunderstood the assignment, but because I could have fucking pulled out a million box sets, but I thought those were all old. So
Don't worry, Chris. I got your back. You're good.
thank you, Dan. Thank you.
All right. Even though it's odd to call him this early, Pete, what do you have? What did you bring for all of us?
All right, so I mean, there's like a million that I have, right, that I really like. I just started grabbing stuff. I was trying to pick stuff that we may or may not have ever talked about before. I don't know, maybe we have, but these are among my favorites. This one is fairly newish. I think, when did this come out? Geez, I don't know, maybe 2-3 years ago, something like that. It's the Italian horror film Mill of the Stone Woman by Arrow. This is a great set. I may have mentioned this once before. It's a killer set. It's one of those things. It's got the couple discs. It's got the Blu-ray, English and Italian versions of the film, and then you got French and U.S. versions. You get a book. Arrow does a great job with this stuff. For those who are not familiar with this movie, it's the first Italian horror film shot in color. It's directed by Giorgio Ferroni. It's a very cool movie about like this mill run by this old guy who's experimenting with people and kind of turning the women into stone, right? But people see these like they look like they're like mannequins or model creations, and they were people, right, that he's killing and preserving in stone. Really cool, atmospheric, early horror movie. Mario Bavo did some work with the director on this particular film, so this is kind of one of those early gems in Italian horror, and it's really atmospheric and really creepy. I like it a lot. And this is a great set that if you've never seen this movie, this is the one to get. Like I said, it's got a couple discs, and it's got the book and the whole 9 yards. So really good stuff there. Let's see. All right, here's one that has a whole bunch of cool movies on it. It's the Ray Harryhausen Ultimate Blu-ray Collection. And this has got Sinbad in the Eye of the Tiger, The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, The Three Worlds of Gulliver, Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Jason and the Argonauts, Earth vs. the Flying Saucers, and It Came from Beneath the Sea. So not every Harryhausen film, but a good chunk of them, and the mandatory ones. You got the same one there, Jamie?
Is that it?
That's it. Yep. All the films look amazing. It's very cool to have them all in one place. But of course, like I said, it doesn't have every one of them. So I have another set that has a couple more, and there's some stuff that's missing. But like all the Sinbad movies are here, which is great. It's fantastic. So there's that, and then all right,
Indicator did kind of the rest of them that right there, apart from like the Warner ones, like Valley of Kwange is the Warner ones. You're never going to get that for a box set.
Yeah, I have that one as well. So there's that. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna show all these in one because they're all part of a series, and there's more of them. I don't have all of them, but I have the first three. And these are the speaking of Vinegar Syndrome. This is the Forgotten Gialli collection. So this is volume 1. Which, I mean, might be the best. This has got Trauma, The Killer is one of 13, The Police Are Blundering in the Dark. All three really cool. I mean, these are all like lesser Giallo films, but it's called Forgotten for a reason, because these are the lesser known ones that nobody ever talks about. But there's some gems in these. And, Vinegar Syndrome, as always, tons of extras, great restorations on these. So volume 1 is probably my favorite, but don't sleep on volume 2. Which has a Girl in Room 2A, which is a lot of fun, The French Sex Murders, and My Dear Killer. And then I also have volume 3. And, sometimes they come in these regular slimline sets. Sometimes they only come in the big box sets. So this is volume 3 right here. And the sets are kind of nice because they got really cool artwork all over them. And this has the really cool Autopsy, Murder Mansion, which is just batshit nuts, and Crazy Desires of a Murderer. I believe they are up to volume 5 or 6. I haven't gotten any of the other ones, but I plan to at some point. So there's that. And then kind of along the same lines, and this is a fairly recent pickup. This is Giallo Essentials, and this is put out by Arrow. They've got a couple of these as well. The other sets, I pretty much have all of those films and other editions and whatnot. But this has Smile Before Death, The Killer Reserved 9 Seats, which is really good. And what is this other one called? The Weapon, the Hour, the Motive, which is more of kind of like a whodunit type of thing. But again, just some really cool, more obscure giallo films if you like that sort of thing. There's so many giallo films that are being released in some of these box sets by various companies. So if you want to get some of the more obscure stuff that's not, by the usual suspects, that's a great way to collect them all. So yeah, that's my first three.
That series is the one that's like the black box, the red box, the yellow box.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And the UK versions are the same colors but different movies. So be careful. Don't just go by the color and click buy now. Just double check the tape.
Yeah, we always check exactly. That's a good point, Davey.
But they're not grouped together. That they have the same director, same actors.
No, they did one which was all Sergio Martino, but that was labeled as the Sergio Martino collection.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if people wonder why there's two different versions of the things Pete was showing there, the Lost Jelly or the Forgotten Jelly, if you order from Vinegar Syndrome direct, that's when you get fancy boxes or Chris's double slip covers. But if you order retail, like through Amazon, that's where you'll get the skinny versions without the extra stuff and all the artwork.
Okay.
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, so the one that's in the box, all the films come in their own separate
individual cases. So you need to order direct from Vinegar Syndrome if you want that kind of treatment.
Yeah. I mean, if you're worried about saving space on the shelf, which is always an issue, that's why these are kind of nice, because you basically have it's just one case with the individual discs are all in here. Which is kind of cool, but so it all depends on
And Vinegar Syndrome sell them too, obviously. But
yeah. Although on some of them, on the more recent ones, they don't have the slim cases available for whatever reason. Because I think I wanted to order like volume 4, and I just run out of room with all these things, right? So the newer ones are a little harder to get in the slim lines for whatever reason. Sometimes they wait till these are sold out and then they release them like this.
Exactly.
I mean, that's probably the reason why. So.
All right, Jamie, what you got for round one?
Well, I have a lot of box sets in this movie room, and I like to display them. And what I do is I put them here on top of my shelving units. And not only do I put the box set there, but I will put a figure, more than likely a figure, sometimes a die cast, toy, car, or something that has something to do with the box set. So it's all paired up. And my first category, I have 5 categories. First category is best looking, coolest looking. And this is pretty much like a piece of furniture almost. This is the box set for the Puppet Master movies that I got about a year and a half, 2 years ago or something like that. And it comes in a wooden case with these latches with the locking mechanism, as you can see there, how it opens like that twice. And then you can see like I have like Star Trek next to my Star Trek stuff. And up there is Underworld with the Underworld chick. What's her name again? I forget.
Kate Beckinsale.
So this opens up. And you have how many are there? 12 in there? I think 12. And you have 12 Puppet Master movies in there. Wow. And it kind of looks like Toulon's case. But what I did is, and there's writing here, you'll see in a minute. I got one of these lights that you can buy at like $5 Below, but they're in the back, like that's 5 and above. So they're like $5.99, $6.99. And you kind of open it up semi like this. You put that light there and boom. And then I had to get, the figures. So I got Torch, and they could go up here in the little stage there, and you got the Jester, and then you could put them right there if you like. And there's Blade, everyone's favorite, and there you go. The display case is better
he's not
than
my
the actual movies.
He's not my favorite, Jamie.
Oh, he's not. Who's your favorite?
Pinhead. Come on.
Oh, Pinhead is?
Yeah.
And then, as you can see, I have other lights like for Predator there, for my Evil Dead stuff there. So it goes down the line and around the whole room like this. So but I'll tell you this, Puppet Master 6, don't sleep on that if you haven't seen it in a while. It's pretty solid. It's stupid, but pretty solid. Almost as cool as that, though, Just the case itself is the 4K of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You press the button, and it does the little song. And there's little, you can't see them. There's little aliens in there. And I got a little alien from the 70s. And of course, they sit next to each other up on the shelf up there because that's the way it's got to be.
Yep.
My second category is best value. So if you want to spend not too much, but get a lot, there are 2 Hammer horror box sets out there. Hammer Films with 20 films in it, not a stinker in the bunch. And this Hammer horror 8-film collection. And there are no crossovers here. All right. So this you can get for $82, I think. And this you can get for 24. Together, that's $106. It's 28 movies. I did the math. That's $3.75 a movie. There's not a lot of extras here, if any. I don't think there's any extras, but the movies look good. And this has, you not only get like the horror, but you get stuff like the Scream of Fear and Die, Die, My Darling. And you get war stuff like the Camp on Blood Island, which is really good. And Yesterday's Enemy, which is even better. And you get like a Robin Hood movie on here. That's the only one I've never seen on here. It's just never in the mood, I guess. Is it good?
Oh, bro, they've made 3 Hammer Robin Hoods, and they're all brilliant.
Sword of Sherwood Forest.
Sword of Sherwood Forest.
That's the only one I've never seen on here.
That's good. Peter
Everything else
Cushing
is
as the
great.
Sheriff of Nottingham.
All right, I'll watch it soon. It's the only one left that I got to check off. So there you go for value. And is valuable. 2 that I'm glad that I bought because they're worth a lot of money now. Is I brought this up before, the Exorcist Bible, which I never opened. I ordered it off Amazon, pre-ordered it off of Amazon UK, got it, bought it for $100. They shipped it. It sold out. Mine got lost in the mail. They wanted to refund me the $100. I'm like, I don't want the fucking $100. I want my goddamn Bible Exorcist box set. So they refunded me the $100. I found it on eBay for $200 at the time. I took the $100 they rebated me, added another $100 and got it. Now it goes for over $300. So I'm glad I did it. Because if I didn't do it, I would have been pissed for the rest of my life. And Second Sight, is that who did this? Second Sight Films The Witch in 4K, which is different than the, I think, Lionsgate Witch 4K. I've seen comparisons on YouTube, but I've seen comparisons, and this looks like it's a little less dark than the 4K from Lionsgate. And this has got the poster, and it's got a big, thick book you could beat someone over the head with. And this goes for about $300 and some too these days. So those are my 2. And because it's got to be next to something if it's being displayed, I hate pop figures. But the only thing out there that is witch related, figure wise, is pop.
Black Phillip.
Black Phillip, yeah, the goat. So I keep that next to it.
If I can get £300 from my box set, it's going on eBay this weekend. I love that movie, but I love £300 more.
Yeah. And then the money's gone, and you don't remember what you spent it on, and your box set is
I'll
gone.
get the disc. I'll get the disc. That's fine.
But you're saying the witch just is brighter? But other than that, is the movie itself any different, or?
No, just the
Well, a lot more extras.
more extras, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Alrighty, Davey, what you got for us?
Okay. Well, I didn't, like Pete was saying, want to pick the same kind of things that we've talked about ad hominem, so I didn't pick like my big hammer sets and whatnot, or the indicator sets for a load of things. But I did pick a indicator set, or an indicator set, I should say, to be grammatically correct. The Fu Manchu Cycle, which is one of my favorite box sets of all time. It's been released in the past 10 years, certainly, which is all 5 of the Christopher Lee cycle of films that he made. So Face of, Brides of, Vengeance of, Blood of, and Castle of. And what's great about this set is it compiles the 5 movies, individual kind of card sleeves for each of them, but it compiles the 5 movies into individual discs that are all treated with the same reverence. So it's not one of those sets where they just give you some extras to cover the whole lot. Every single disc gets as much love as it would if it was an individual release. And the films themselves are nice and disparate. They're not the same like some other franchises, including Hammer at times. It's not the same film 5 times, because the early couple of films are much more adventure-led, much more Terror of the Tongs, if you will, closer to that kind of spirit. And then the later Fu Manchu films, the last couple in the set, are directed by Jess Franco. So they're much sleazier, much more exploitation. And you get big old book about the history of the franchise, all sorts of extras pertaining to everything. And when you pre-ordered it directly, there's also a poster in there as well, but when you pre-ordered it directly, you got the Fu Manchu for Mayor poster, which was a replica of the one they put up in New York City when the film was premiering for the mayoral elections in 1968, I think it was. So a replica poster of that, which is pretty nifty. I really, really like that poster. I don't think you can really display it because he has a fascist, for the in-laws coming round and whatnot. It just seems a bit weird to have that on the. Plus, guy in yellow face as well. But yeah, so it's a great example of Christopher Lee stuff that's really worth having, that isn't Hammer, isn't Amicus, but still an essential set. And great thing about it, even if you can't get the box, the 5 films are available on their own from Indicator with exactly the same on-disc content. So all there for you. Next up, I'll just throw these in together. Very recent release, because they've looked at a very similar story really, to British low-budget directors. Pete Walker, director from the 60s and 70s, his recent set from 88 films, which is just huge, absolutely massive. Best known for directing House of Long Shadows with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, but that's not on here. This is much more of his exploitation horror. So things like Frightmare would be probably the biggest one here for me, but for others, House of Whipcord is the Pete Walker film that kind of has risen above the rest to become something a bit more than just a standard film. The Flesh and Blood show comes with 3D glasses. Seems to be a bit of a trend that things that bring on here have got 3D glasses in them. Die Screaming Marianne, just some great kind of exploitation done Brit style. A lot sleazier than you'd imagine some British stuff would be. More in the style of like Corruption, that kind of thing. And I'd pair that with Norman J. Warren, Indicator's set of his stuff, which is called Bloody Terror. And some of them in places are bloody awful, but some of them are bloody brilliant. I'm sure some people have seen things like Infeminoids, because you don't forget a cover like that. That was a very popular video release back in the day. That cover.
I bought the soundtrack just to get that cover on an album.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. But his films range from that kind of alien knockoff to things that are a bit more classic horror oriented, or Rosemary's Baby like, or vaguely occultish. A really interesting director. Norman G. Bloody New Year is one of his more slashery things, at the Hotel of Horror. But a really interesting director who also made a couple of great kind of swinging 60s films in London. And again, 200-page book on these films, which I kind of trend. I love books about these kind of things. It's what makes them go from being interesting watches to real film school stuff where you can learn in depth. I think I love reading these big, massive books. When it's a 20-page booklet, okay, but when you get a 200-page book or something, that's just manna from heaven. And I'll round off this go round with Severin's release of All the Haunts Beaters, the folk horror box set that they put out, which comes inside a kind of bespoke packaging to give us this, and it's folk horrors from around the world, from even before the term was coined. So you do get a couple of titles in here that have been released and become popular on their own, like the Russian film. You get a modern masterpiece by Ben Wheatley, A Field in England. You get Penda's Fen, which is by the great Alan Clark. You get Robin Redbreast, which was a BBC play and one of the most haunting things you'll see. You also get films from Native Americans or Native American themed. You get Soviet films. You get, well, I was going to say Polish films, but at the time they would have been Soviet. You get Czech films. You get French films. The Anchoress is in here, which again has gone on to become a real highly regarded film in its own right. And you get a full documentary on the kind of genre, the subgenre of folk horror itself. Again, as well. One of Severin's real achievements, this just an absolute masterclass to put it together. 12 Blu-rays, 3 CDs. The CDs include some soundtrack stuff and also Linda Hayden from Blood and Satan's Claw narrating The White People, which is a short story of the folk genre. 15 hours of special features. So yeah, all the haunts bears. The only thing missing from this is Blood and Satan's Claw, really, because they had the license for that, and I'm not quite sure why it's not in there as well. But hey, this is a wonderful compendium for anyone who likes the Blood and Satan's Claw, Wicker Man, Witchfinder General, Holy Trinity of folk horror, and want to go further. This is essential stuff. Just, yeah, go. That'll do me.
All right, very cool. All right, round 2, Dan.
All right. Well, this is something that we've had a show about it at the Mario Bava film. We had a show about it, or it was mentioned at one point in time. I originally had the MGM Midnight Movies version on DVD. Came out on Blu-ray on Lorber, and that is Planet of the Vampires. And I just happened to be online just looking around, and I saw a message about it being released on a company called Radiance Film. And it is a box set that comes out once again. It includes not only a film that does not come out of the fucking box, but it
yeah, no, their box sets are always like that. They're tighter than a duck's ass.
It's like a dyslexic virgin, for Christ's sakes. Anyhow, it comes in with the film with 3 cuts of the film. It comes with the Italian version, comes in with the American version, and it comes in with another version that has a completely different score recorded with it. It's not 4K. It's Blu-ray, but if you've seen the Blu-ray transfer on whether it be the Kino Lorber or if it's been on streaming, it's a really exceptional. The colors pop, the whole thing. There's a 41-minute documentary about the making of the film. There is a segment of Joe Dante's Trailers from Hell in which he talks about the influence it had on him and how he saw these films in the 60s, and includes a book that falls somewhere between the 200 and the 20-page comic book, and it's an 80-page book in which it details a lot about the production, some great stills. When this came out, I said, well, this is it. I wanted this film in my collection. I'd seen how they improved it with the 4K transfer and such like this, and this was the one, I guess, unless it comes out with 4K, you're not going to get it better than this. It was not a break the bank scenario. I think it was under $40 for the whole thing. But getting back to the books real quick, we were mentioning this, when David has that book for $200, or like Chris and I have the Dawn of the Dead box set from Europe. These books in there, when you're saying you're paying $150 for a box set, in most cases, let's say Dawn of the Dead, the book in there, had that been a coffee table size book, that would be $100 book or more to buy the book. Even a 100-page soft cover is like a $40 investment to buy the book. So you're getting a big bang for your buck. But once again, Planet of the Vampires, it's the way to get it, the way to see it. The last one I'm going to bring up is something that hope I could open this up without totally screwing it up. But anyhow, David had mentioned this in one of his shows before. I am a Ghostbusters fan. I worked on set at Ghostbusters doing security during the first film and so forth. So it was kind of great memories of watching them do shit on Fifth Avenue and where they were filming in the city, and watching Bill Murray just basically clown around on the side at his suit on and so forth. But that being said, and that is this Ghostbusters set that had come out in 4K a couple of years ago. It's the great thing about this. Okay, you pull your little slip sleeve off, right? There you go. Now you open it. This is where it gets dangerous here. You push a button and it opens like the trap, right? Then it has in there, of course, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Okay, they even give you a space. There's once again a book, which would be a tabletop, boom, about the production.
That was a book. That was an independently made book back in the 80s. That's an original.
Yep. So they put this in, and then on top of that, if you want to keep the book out, they made this box if you wanted to put the all-female version at that point in there as part of the canon. But the great thing, it still works. Oh, there it goes. Look, here it is. Your drug light, right? There you go. Trust me. Take some mushroom tea, open the door, and be entertained for fucking hours. Okay. And on top of that, there is tons of extra stuff in here. I mean, I think it's over 11 or 12 hours of supplemental material on this thing, including, once again, getting back to what I said earlier, there is a work print of it, the pre-release work print on it. So, in essence, if this is the version of everything you want to know about sex, but we're afraid to ask, this is everything you want to know about the Ghostbusters, but we're afraid to ask. And if you're a Ghostbusters fan, this is it. And I figured, hey, go for the gusto, and plus it was sold on the green light anyhow, so it doesn't matter. And that's it. Closes back up, and that's the last one I could say real quick. And just one last thing I have to add about the Fu Manchu box. I have the Fu Manchu box that David has. It is an incredible piece because it's very, the Jess Franco ones came out on a separate label here. They weren't part of Warner Brothers, and they did put out a German DVD set if you ever want to get the 5 films. That was a Region 2. But even when this box set came out that David had, I immediately said, I got to get this because that's a thumbs up, that one. So, and that's my 5.
All right. That's a great Ghostbusters set. That's really cool with the looking like the trap and with the light and everything.
And one thing I love about it is it gives Ghostbusters 2 a great treatment. For the longest time, that was only ever bare bones. And Ghostbusters 1 had 25 different versions. But Ghostbusters 2 even gets a work print.
And may I add, Davey did a kind of a review of that box set, much more in depth than my airline version on one of the shows that you do.
And unfortunately, though, that Radiance, Planet of the Vampires, sold out already. That sold out the week of release.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So, yeah, you can now get a standard edition they're releasing, but yeah, the big box set that you and I have gone the way of the dodo already.
Yeah.
Wow. Hot stuff.
That's when these announcements come out. You get them at a decent price and just do it. That's why I think if you're interested in the Hitcher, it's the time to jump on that.
Yeah.
I'm still upset about the Chinatown 4K release, which was sold out before it even was released.
I don't understand that. Paramount, the movie studios are like in great disarray nowadays financially. A lot of them are like almost receivership because of overextending and overspending. They own the rights to Chinatown. And I don't understand why they sell out, and are they going to reprint it? They're not handling the secondary market. They could release as many copies as they wish. And I just don't understand why they pulled back. It may have just sold out because let's face it, 2 films, both 2 Jakes and the box set and the whole thing. But I think that'll come back in print. I just don't see them giving up on making money. If that's the case, they should be in receivership. So,
okay, Chris, what you got for round 2?
All right, this one is a somewhat new release. It was fairly controversial because of the way the director cleaned it up. It's a 3-disc set of Aliens. And of course, Aliens is a notoriously grainy film, and James Cameron decided to clean up quite a bit for the 4K release. And it is a bit jarring at first, but I didn't get a chance to watch the whole movie. But the parts I saw, I thought it looked really good. There's definitely, you could see a lot more detail in certain things now because there is less haze and grain. And yeah, it's got both the theatrical and special edition on the 4K and Blu-ray in the set. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I think we're definitely living in the golden age of trash films getting nice upgrades. I haven't watched it yet, but I think it's from Davey would probably know. I think it's from Mondo Macabro. I don't have my glasses on, but this is the 4K of Dr. Jekyll and the Werewolf, which was a limited edition one, which is a good Paul Nashy trash film. And man, this one I couldn't believe when I bought it on DVD. I was shocked when I bought it on Blu-ray, and holy Christ, I am still flabbergasted that in 2024 I own The Black Gestapo on 4K, one of the greatest black exploitation movies of the 70s ever. And yeah, I don't care how it looks compared to the Blu-ray. I'm just glad that I have an upgrade of it. And yeah, those are my picks.
That's the one you got at X-Fest, right?
Yes. Yeah. I've been meaning to watch it, and the last couple of weeks I've been busy, so I haven't got to it yet.
All they need is to get the Black 6 in 4K, and it'll be all good.
There we go. Listen, I'm still hoping for Blackula on 4K.
Oh yeah, and Scream Blackula, Scream, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Black isn't Ushi DeGuard in that, Chris?
In Blackula?
Was she? No, in Black Gestapo.
Oh yes, I believe she's in it for yeah. She's got a quick part in it.
Anybody else?
There's a couple very nice looking ladies in here.
So any of you people out there
show off their wares
that don't know, just look up Ushi DeGuard. It'll be self-explanatory.
Yeah, she's quite something to behold.
Yes.
I must admit though, I did not care for the 4K of Aliens at all.
Okay, it was too
I liked it a lot.
Too clean for you, Davey?
Yeah, I think they've turned it into a documentary. I think he's become far too used to making these Avatar films, and he's scrubbed all the detail from. I mean, there's parts where the dirt on people's faces has been cleaned. It's had such a wash.
I'll be honest. Yeah. I wish they had included the non-cleaned version. You know, I mean, hell, you got the 4K, you got the extra space. So I would have just to have it on there, and then everybody could decide which version is their preferred.
I didn't buy True Lies because I'm not a big fan of that film anyway. But apparently that's the one that was treated the worst.
Yeah, I was going to ask. It's like which, what True Lies and The Abyss are those given the same treatment where they're too squeaky clean, or
no? The Abyss looks fine, but that always did look a bit cleaner because Aliens looks dirty for a reason, but The Abyss is a bit clean, but it's not been wiped as much as that. But yeah, True Lies apparently is one of these waxy nightmares, which just seems to happen to Schwarzenegger for some reason. Terminator 2 never had a good
Predator, yeah.
homemade. Predator never had a good release. So Schwarzenegger's face for some reason seems to trigger bad transfers.
All right. Well, Pete, what you got?
I will say I watched the Alien and Aliens 4Ks back to back like last week, and I was very satisfied with both of them. So, but I get what you're saying. All right, so my next pick in this round, I think we talked about this before, but it's such a good set. I wanted to bring it up again. Speaking of Mario Bava, the Blood and Black Lace Arrow. This is great. This is really great. So I've got the set, which only has one disc. It's got the 4K with a boatload of special features on it. The 4K transfer looks amazing. And of course, it comes with one of those really cool books, and a poster. The book is awesome because it really goes in depth into all the great stuff about this particular film and how groundbreaking it is. And it's a really, really great read. And it's a really great film. Like I said, never looked better. Love the 4K transfer. I think they did a spectacular job on this. So Arrow always just does a great job on these sets.
Is that dubbed or is that all in Italian? Is that in English or just Italian with English subtitles?
You get every option on here.
Both great because they never film in sound in Italy. Remember, they always film in silence, or the time they did, and then they just dub everything afterwards, regardless of the language.
Yeah, so you've got restored original lossless mono Italian and English soundtracks, optional English subtitles for the Italian soundtrack, optional English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing for the English soundtrack. So basically got everything. I mean, it's I think on a lot of these Italian films, if they would hire like American, they would hire like an international cast, and they would just have all of the stars would just speak in their own language. So it's really bizarre in some of these old classic films. But that's how they did it. All right, and my last, you know what? Screw it. I got a whole bunch of things here, but I'm going to show this one because it's probably my favorite box set of all time. You know it. You know it. The original 30 some odd film Universal Classic Monsters. Doesn't get much better than this. I mean, I know they've released the 2 4K sets, which I have those as well. Those are great. There's more coming. But man, this has got everything you could possibly want from classic Universal, from Dracula all the way to The Creature Walks Among Us. I mean, this was like when this came out, I was like so excited, and it's still a great set with all these classic films. And I mean, basically everything from Universal is now on Blu-ray or better. So yeah, just love it. Tons of bonus stuff. They ported over everything from the DVD versions, and there's additional things. But you got a collectible book in here, 50-page book. Yeah, it's got everything. So I wasn't going to show that one, but screw it. So
I have that with all the monster figures around it, with the creature.
That's a lot of figures
on top of it.
Would you remember the DVD deluxe edition back in the day came with little busts of the main characters? So you got a little statue of just a bust of Frankenstein's monster and Dracula. It was a lovely little set.
It's crazy to think of how many times I have bought these films in my life on all the different formats, and sometimes multiple times in one format, because I think they were like DVD sets that they had the first DVD sets and then the deluxe versions. I bought those. Same with some of the Hammer ones. It's just amazing how many times I keep buying these movies over and over and over.
Sorry, Dan.
A lot of the Universal sets, they were doing those double-sided discs, and there was a lot of technical problems with those, freezing up, and did it with Abbott and Costello as well. So when they did it that way, when Peter had that box set, it got better. And then it was DVD and Blu-ray, and now it's 4K, and it's
I used to get one every month on VHS with my pocket money that I'd save up, and then they started bringing out just kind of other horror films that Universal had the rights to, and it became a bit silly. So you were getting the 50s nuclear sci-fi stuff released under the same banner as the classic classic Universal stuff, and it became a bit silly. But,
and if you want the non-monster stuff, you get these.
Yeah, those are great too. Yeah,
but that's got those one-offs. That's a great set because you got the Black Cat. You've got Monster.
I'd stick to the Eureka ones. They've got a lot more on them.
All right, Jamie, can you top yourself from round one?
I don't know. It's very tight. I'm in a tight situation here, about to knock things over.
Yeah.
My next category is, should I do the best or most watched? I'll do the best one. This is the best one I got. I think I brought this up a while back on latest things you bought, but I didn't really get into it. This has got to be the best box set I own. It's Twilight Zone, the complete series on Blu-ray.
Wow.
Now, there's 156 episodes here. Each one is 24 minutes, but you can spend up to 4.5 hours with every episode. So that it's 3 hours, let's say 3 hours an episode, that's 468 hours. That's 19 and a half days if you don't sleep 24 hours straight of watching this. Because what you get is, if the 24-minute episode, I wrote it down because there's a lot. Now, not every episode has every one of these. Some of them do, but this is what is on possibly each episode. Original audio, remastered audio. That's on every episode. Isolated score. I don't know why they do that, but that's on each one. Commentaries, which are like film historians or guys who wrote books on the Twilight Zone. Sometimes it's interview that from the 70s with maybe the director or something. They just play over the episode. Or sometimes it's like a speech Rod Sterling did in front of a crowd that they just play over the episode. So sometimes you get more than one commentary. Interviews on camera where there's actual interview and you see the guy talking. Radio dramas. Now in 2002 to 2012, they did radio dramas of these episodes, almost every single one. Some of the radio dramas were like episodes that never really aired or they actually filmed. But there's about 150 radio dramas, and I would say about 140 of them are on here. So if you watch this episode, you get, let me listen to the radio drama, which is about 40 minutes. And each one has like characters. I mean, like actors like Lou Diamond Phillips or Henry Rollins plays a used car salesman, things like that. Bumpers. This is the shit I like that brings you right into like 1960, 1962 as you watch it. They got they call them sponsor billboards where you got to, I wish they did it automatically. You got to click on them where they go, tonight, Twilight Zone brought to you by Skillo Pads. And then they got the second one, Twilight Zone was brought to you by whatever, Tide or whatever. I love that shit. Promos at the end of each episode, like catch Wanted Dead or Alive with Steve McQueen on your local stations. Shit like that I just love. Old PSAs like don't be a litter bug, and some old black and white cartoon where like don't be a litter bug. And then on some of these on season 2 were filmed on video to save money, and on the ones filmed on video, you get like just for a few seconds one of they call them the original production slate, where Twilight Zone take 3, and it's there. So whatever they dug up, they could put on each episode is what they put there. So yeah, I watch an episode. Sometimes I watch it. I'll watch it again with the commentaries. Sometimes I didn't do any of the radio dramas all the way through. There's just too much. There's just too much on here. So that's the best one I own. The one I watch most, which is also pretty cool looking. And Davey would agree with me on this one. We've talked about it. So about 2 years, during the pandemic, I was just streaming things and watching things, and I got sucked into, now I remember watching with my parents, and I remember watching a few in my 20s, but I said, you know what, let me give the old Columbo shows a try. Yeah. So I started watching, what happened was I saw an old clip. I used to watch Johnny Carson reruns at 10 o'clock on like MeTV or something. And what's his name? Columbo. Pierre Falk was being interviewed, and he's like, "Oh, this episode, with his eyes going, the first episode of this season is really good. I catch the guy because of the shoestring. Can you figure out why?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm gonna go find out though." And I watched that one, and then I just got sucked into it. So what I did is I went out and bought the Japanese Columbo box set that looks like a cigar box, and it's pricey, but it was the only way to get them on Blu-ray. And you got everything from the 1968 pilot all the way to the last one in 2002. And what happened was about a month later, Kino Lorber said, "Well, we're going to release them." I'm like, "God damn it, I just spent a big hunk of change on this." Oh, well, I don't need Kino Lorber's. I got this. But then they were like, "Well, it's going to have a lot of extras. We got commentaries, we got all kinds of cool things." And then they released, due to unforeseen issues, we can no longer include all the new audio commentaries, essay, and other extras we had produced for our upcoming Columbo 1970s box set. It was all there, and they just couldn't put it on there. The work was done. They said, maybe we'll put it in a book one day. That ain't the same. So I said, I ain't buying that, because I watched every Columbo episode, and I was so sad when I got to the last one. I'm like, oh my God, because there's nothing like Sunday evening, winding down, watching a Columbo episode before bed. It's just, and when it's over, you go to bed. I just love the whole blueprint of the show. You watch the first 20 minutes how the murder's done. Then Columbo comes in with a stupid fucking car, and then he figures it all out. And then I go to bed. So I'm like, I'm going to watch it all over again because I just love it too much. I'm like, am I going to start with the shitty quality Blu-rays? No, I bought the goddamn Kino Lubber set, and I'm going to start over with this one, even though there's no extras. And people kept telling me, well, in like chats and stuff, well, it looks so much better. I'm like, you know what? It's like going from DVD to Blu-ray or from Blu-ray to 4K. That's how much better this looks. And this goes up to just the 70s, and they have a second box set coming out next week, where it's Columbo: The Return, where he came back like in around 89 until 2002. And I got that coming Tuesday. So I'll have both of them. So
I haven't seen that show in ages. I know
it's so great.
They hold up well. They hold up.
Yeah, especially when you do a little marathon, and if you watch them without because it was part of that. What station was it on in America? CBS
or NBC. It was the other week or so. A mystery movie.
Yeah, so you'd only see it once every month anyway, and then divide that up into how far apart the seasons were in. So you wouldn't see Columbo that often. But when you watch it kind of back to back to back to back, you see Robert Culp as the murderer twice in the space of 6 episodes, and then the victim in another one. I think.
Yeah.
And then
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash was in. Johnny Cash episode is great.
With the plane or the helicopter or some shit.
Instead of his wife, yeah.
But Peter Falk's character, the way he just does it is, even on the sucky episodes, it's Peter Falk as Columbo.
Yeah, because he's a bit of a prick in the first episode, the pilot.
It's kind of a different vibe. Yeah, different vibe in that show.
Yeah. I think they'd written that script years before. William Link and the other guy. They'd written that years before. But yeah, stunning stuff. Wonderful show.
Well, I think you did top yourself in that, Jamie. That was very good. And I always like Peter Falk as Sam Diamond in Murder by Death. So I always like
the band I like, Murder by Death, named themselves after that movie.
And I always like Peter Falk in What's the In-Laws.
Yeah. Serpentine, Shelley.
Serpent.
All right, Davey, take us home. What you got?
So, if I was going for absolute favourite, but I kind of picked it too often for various things, it would be the Doctor Who collection sets that are released, because you can say the Twilight Zone with 100 and something episodes has got that kind of treatment. Doctor Who's got nearly 700, and they've all got commentaries, sometimes 2 or 3. Every single one has commentaries, and not just interviews played on top, but freshly recorded commentaries, documentaries, multiple for every single episode, various location things. So yeah, every episode, all 694 from the classic era, have got hours of special features. It's a phenomenal achievement. But again, picked that stuff too often. So for this one, I'll go with one that I know Chris doesn't like, actually, given the shape of it. But like Jamie, I display my kind of fancy box sets. I've got a separate part of the room for them. So for me, this was perfect, and I'm so glad. When Criterion announced that they were doing the Godzilla Showa set, I was very excited. Then it came out, and they said we couldn't include this, we couldn't include that, Toho wouldn't let us. And then Arrow announced that they were doing Gamera and said, move aside, Criterion, we're releasing this bad boy. And it's just one of the most stunning box sets ever released by any major label. Everything that we wanted from the Criterion Godzilla set and couldn't have. Brand new commentaries, 2, 3, or 4 in some cases. Every dub ever, including the redneck one, where we're getting to see guys in Tokyo in the 60s, but wearing goddamn right, and we're good old boy stuff. Cockney ones. We're getting every single dub that's ever been recorded for a Gamera film and released officially on these. They're released in 2 big, massive volumes, and you get 2 graphic novels. One is the kind of birth of Gamera, and one's a new Gamera story by Matt Frank, who does all the amazing artwork for this. It's right throughout it. And yeah, it's 8 disc box with all the Gamera films. As you can imagine from something this size. So it goes from Gamera the Giant Monster, and you get the US versions as well, again, unlike the Criterion Godzilla set, and it goes all the way through to the 90s ones that are brilliant. That trilogy in the 90s, phenomenal, including Gamera the Brave from 2006, which is a bit more unusual, more of a family film, but it's kind of Gamera does E.T. in a strange way. It's just breathtaking. You get all sorts of Easter eggs included, tucked away in the slats of this like map of where Gamera has been and what he's destroyed. Biology, you get kind of to see his physiology and whatnot through diagrams that they've given you on special paper and whatnot. It's just stunning. It's just, if you're a Gamera fan, this is the last word on Gamera. It's just everything you could possibly need, and I wish so much we could get something like this for Godzilla. We just, unfortunately, the Criterion one just doesn't touch it. Doesn't touch it at all. It's amateur hour compared to that, and it's not Criterion's fault. Toho are just so strict. And then number one for me, Jamie mentioned a couple of weeks ago on Video Nasties, Blood Feast, and I said more on that soon because I want to talk about Herschel Gordon Lewis, shocking gore. Arrow released this awful looking box set of Herschel Gordon Lewis's films that was in a kind of cereal box, and I just didn't like the look of it at all. But they also announced this at the same time, which is the kind of super deluxe, if you will. That's the deluxe, which same size, huge. And then I'll put it there and watch it fall off. Starts with a massive big hardback book, full to the brim of his entire career's worth. And Herschel Gordon Lewis, the king of exploitation, as we mentioned on the Video Nasties, really the godfather of gore. His films range from the blood feast-like gore. He always goes back to some kind of Egyptology in his films. There's quite a lot of exploitation in there. There's a lot of hillbilly moonshine stuff for some reason. It seems to be a thing. Anything that would get punters into the drive-ins in the 60s. But yeah, big hardback book there with one of the most bizarre extras, a barf bag. So you can... Arrow have given you a little bag to be sick in while you're watching the movie. You get the Blood Feast soundtrack on a little EP, which is rather nifty. You get a handmade eyeball, which I don't know about you, but I think that looks rather better than the ones in Friday the 13th Part 3 when it's coming right out the screen like that. Pretty nifty. Looks like extra or something. But, and then you get the novelization of Blood Feast called The Blood Feast, which a bit like the Dawn of the Dead set from Second Sight, which has got the novelization of Dawn of the Dead by George Romero. Imagine reading Blood Feast as a novel, so bizarre. And then, of course, have to actually mention inside the box, just like we were saying about Vinegar Syndrome at the start, boxes within boxes, you get the actual box set of the movies themselves, and inside that you get two more box sets, which is where all the movies are stored. But that's not all. You get the Herschel Gordon Lewis Annual 2016. I don't know if annuals are a big deal in America, but they certainly are over here, where you would get them every Christmas. They would have games and puzzles and whatnot. So it kind of does it a bit of fun, even though it's pretty hardcore stuff in it. Dress your women up the way you want, or kind of bizarre stuff like that. So really imaginative way to do a box set where they know what they're selling you and they know their audience. So it's volume 1, 63 to 67, all presented in that kind of nice way of having it be in slip but not tight. It's not one of those ones where we're going to struggle to get them out, and then with some artwork along the side to kind of complement it. I just think it's one of the best kind of all-encompassing box sets that you'll find. It's not quite the complete Herschel Gordon Lewis because Vinegar Syndrome released the lost films of Herschel Gordon Lewis. The reason they were lost is they're basically hardcore pornos presenting themselves as documentaries, which okay. And then Blood Feast 2, which was one of those films that came out in the 2000s where modern fans of the film helped pay for it and get it produced, like YouTubers and things. So they made up the cast with them. Not a great addition to the lore of Blood Feast, but still tremendous stuff. So yeah, Herschel Gordon Lewis, Blood and Gore. You can get the slimmed down version with just the films in a much smaller box set from Arrow still to this day. So if people just want the films that are ridiculously entertaining, a masterclass in low budget filmmaking, then yeah, highly, highly, highly recommended. So there we go.
Cool.
All right, lots of great stuff that you guys showed. So thanks to everyone for what you've shown, and for you viewers out there, put in the comments below if you've got any of these sets that the guys showed, or if you've got some sets of your own, be it on 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, Laserdisc, whatever. Let us know what you got in the comments below. And I'd love to thank Pete for allowing me to guest host for this, as being a longtime viewer of the program. It's really nice for me, really nice experience to get to do this. So I will always appreciate that. So visit us on the web at seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook and YouTube all together all the time. And please subscribe if you have not done so already. Click the notification bell so that you are notified of all new content as it posts, and smash that like button on your way out. Also, down below, there is links to Ko-Fi, Cameo, merch, and we thank you very much for all of your contributions. So for Dan, Chris, Jamie, Davey, and of course Pete, my name is Craig Kaminsky. Thanks for joining us on The Monster's Den. We'll see you next time.
Thumbs up for Craig. Did a great job tonight.
You found your calling.
See you all later, everybody.
Bye.
Hello.
Bye. All right.